Let's take a look at the Boston Celtics, a very different Boston Celtics team. Where is the fantasy value this season? Can we trust anybody apart from Michael Bolton?
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I feel like chicken tonight. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free. We are available on all platforms. Yeah, we are. We're also here ready to go and talk about the Celtics quickly. Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl. We have filled 3 leagues, 2 $50 head-to-head leagues, 1 $50 points league. That is 360 teams locked in on those ones. We are very close on 2 more. I'd say we've probably got 600 teams signed up. You can join multiple leagues. The LinkedIn or the Linktree link is on the screen. It's at the QR code. It's in the description, so go join up. There's plenty of spots available, and enjoy. Yeah, go sign up over there and jump into some leagues that will be starting in a week or so with their slow drafts. So what are we talking about today? Well, like I said, we are talking about this Boston Celtics squad, which is in a transition season for many of the reasons that you already know. They're losing, or they've lost Kristaps Porzingis, they've lost Al Horford. We assume Horford doesn't play for anybody at this point, but I don't think he's come back to Boston. They've lost Drew Holiday. There's no Jason Tatum. It is a very, very different team. And that is what we're going to go through and try and sort of predict what let's start with the starting lineup and their rotation, because it's, I don't know. I won't say it's easy, because it's very clearly not. This is where I've got it sitting at the moment, and I can go back and forward on this. I've got Derrick White, Payton Pritchard, Jaylen Brown, Slammin' Sammy Hauser, and Nemesh Keita, the Pastel de Nata. But I don't feel confident with Hauser. I don't feel confident with Keita. I don't feel confident with even Pritchard. Originally, I thought that it would have been Anfernee Simons there, but the report did come out that it would be Pritchard that started. Remember, the Celtics have not done any introductory press conference to announce that they've acquired Anfernee Simons. They haven't announced him in any way. And every report suggests that they are looking to move on from him. Yeah, this is the worst. Maybe Charlotte can make the argument given their center rotation, but if you're talking front court power forward centers, this is the worst rotation in the entire NBA. By far. So it's going to be Hauser and Keita maybe, or it could be Luka Garza, or it could be Chris Boucher, or maybe it's Josh Minott. It's just a terrible group. So when you're looking at their over-under, or you're expecting, they're not going to tank, the East is so bad, they're going to be good enough, have a look at the big men. Have a look at the forwards. And that's not even including whatever happens with Simons or injuries to Jaylen. If Jaylen Brown or Derrick White get hurt, are they ever winning a game? That is the problem with this team. So I do think that their lineup, again, I think it will change a bit. But Derrick White, Payton Pritchard, Jaylen Brown, Sammy Hauser, Nemesh Keita, with the rotation being Simons, Garza, Luka Garza, Chris Boucher, Baylor Shireman, Josh Minott, and Hugo Gonzalez. Now, they don't have many guards. They've got White, there's Pritchard, Brown, I guess, is a guard. There's Simons. And then what? Gonzalez, I guess. Shireman's more of a 3, but I guess he can play there too. Like, it's a weird team. And they're going to be in situations where you're going to have maybe RJ Lewis, two-way player, comes in and plays minutes. It's a strange team. So I'm not buying it with this squad that they're going to be so much better than you think they are. I think they're going to be bad, and deliberately so. I think they're going to be deliberately bad. That is why they traded these players away once Jason Tatum got hurt. They are having a reset type of year to come back the season after. Let's take a look at some projections or some projection questions on this squad, because there are quite a few. And when we're trying to make decisions regarding how we are drafting in fantasy and what players we're valuing where, we need to take into consideration these questions. So this is a team that obviously was a very heavy three-point team. Do they lean more into that? When you are a team that is not as good, three-point shooting can bring in more variance, and so can more pace, leading to more variability in results. So if you are taking more threes and playing at a faster pace, maybe it allows you to win more games. Maybe they don't want that, though. I do think they're going to play faster, and I do think they're going to take probably even more threes than they have in the past. Again, a little bit different when Horford and Porzingis are in your front court, and it's Neemias Queta, but I think they're going to take quite a few threes. But how does that impact some of these other guys? What does it mean for their rotation? Does it mean a lot more Hauser, Boucher, Gaza? Boucher cut his three-point shooting down the last few years, but maybe that ramps back up. What is the future of Anfernee Simons? Is he going to start? Is he going to be on the team? As a sixth man, is he a 32-minute guy? Or like 28, the way that Payton Pritchard was last season? I feel very confident that they are going to pack this season in. But when will that happen? Will it be the standard last 3 weeks of the year? Will you see Derrick White and Jaylen Brown, who are probably the two guys who are going to sit down? I don't think it's going to impact Pritchard that much. Does that happen at the trade deadline? Are we going to see Brown and White alternating games through the March-April period? They've done this when they've been good, by the way. Like, that happened a lot when they were good. So just, there is a lot of concern, I guess, about how this all runs. The big man chaos. Like, I don't know. Are we going to run three centers? Xavier Tillman's on this team too, the cashier. So do they run, like, Boucher, I don't know if he can play center, if he's going to be the 4. Gaza, Queta, Tillman. Do they just run 3 center rotations at times? How does that look? And then when or if do they develop or do they prioritize development? That means more minutes for Shyman. That means giving Jordan Walsh a look. That means putting Hugo Gonzalez in roles that he's not ready for. That means maybe we see what Josh Minot can bring, who's a really interesting player. But this is, again, an incredibly weird team with a lot of questions, and we haven't had these sort of issues when thinking about the Celtics in previous seasons. There are still some undervalued guys on this squad, though. And I don't think that Derrick White is undervalued everywhere, because I think there are significant risks with Derrick White for this season in terms of availability. Right? I do think there are risks with that. His ADP on Fantrax is 37, Derrick White. But, okay, I don't know that that's any sort of good value. What I do look at this with Derrick White is I think that where he sits on ESPN points leagues, where his rank is at 48, I think there is, that's the end of the 4th round in a 12-teamer. That's like 5th round in a 10-teamer. I think that actually gives you value. Now, for other formats like Yahoo points or even the categories sort of stuff based on where he's ranked, like he's ranked 24th for ESPN categories, that is not good value. That is terrible value, in fact. But like White was very good last season, clearly, but not a high volume scorer, although that will change. He was under 20 usage, that is undoubtedly going up. Without Porzingis, without Tatum. His assist rate probably rises. Weirdly, for as good a defender as White is, his steals have not been super strong. His blocks are awesome. He's been shooting well, but like it is very easy to say Derrick White is playing a lot of games. He played a lot of games last season. But remember, part of the concern and the way that people hated on my love of Derrick White when he played for the Spurs was Josh, he's always injured. Remember that? He had like multiple feet and toe injuries. Again, it's why injury-prone labels are garbage. For the most part. And there's a difference between injury-prone and persistent degenerative problems. Those things are different. There's no guarantee White plays 76 games or 70 games or honestly even 65 games or even 60 games. He's going to do more this season, Derek. But like at 24, where he's on those ESPN points leagues, I don't like that. Do I, in the 4th round, early 4th round, do I think that that's okay? Yeah, it's not bad. I also like that Payton Pritchard. Now, he's one of the guys that I'm pretty interested in this season, especially after we seem to think that he is going to be starting. I think basically in every format, every platform at the moment, Payton Pritchard is undervalued. He's got a rank of 96 on Yahoo. He's an ADP of 85 on Fantrax. He's at 157 for ESPN category leagues. Like, come on. His points league rank on ESPN is 88. His ADP is 83 on Yahoo. I think he beats all those numbers, honestly, by... I'll be conservative and say, 40 spots. I think he can do that. And I don't love Payton Pritchard. I don't think he's an all-star player. I don't think he's a star way to break out. He's a lot older than maybe you think, or maybe you do know how old he is. He played 28 minutes a night last season on 19 usage. He's 27, right? So I think that the usage goes up. He 14 points will probably jump up. He hit over 3 threes a game at 41%. Maybe with increased responsibility, he's a 39% shooter. 0.9 steals, you can get that to over 1. 3.5 assists. Like, he's more of a shooting guard than a point guard, honestly. So maybe he becomes like a 4.5 assist player with 1.2 steals, 18 points, 3.7 threes. It's pretty good. Now, when I say that I think that he can beat those ranking and ADP markers by 40 spots, you don't take him at pick 40. You don't take him at pick 50. You can take him at 70 if you want. And if you miss out on him, that's okay. Because the value in taking someone like Payton Pritchard, where I think that's great value, it's great sleepers, it's great steals or whatever, is when you get him late. If you take him at 40, that's not value. It's not at all. It's about acquiring value. It's about getting the guy at a spot that makes sense. Not about just getting the guy. And I do think that is an important distinction that I think I need to bang on about a lot. Is that I can tell you that I think Payton Pritchard is ranked 45th in my mind, or around that area. But don't take him there. I don't think you have to. And then that's like, because I'm not certain about how good he's going to be. There's a lot of concerns about this team. But if I get him at 80, I think there's a lot of upside in that. And I don't see how that goes wrong. If I take him at 45, well, there's lots of ways that can go wrong. We're going to talk about an overvalued or a couple of overvalued guys in a sec. Today's episode, though, is brought to you by Monarch Money. Most people can't name all of their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks or properties or investments, whatever it is. When you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That is why there is Monarch Money, the all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. So if you put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all of your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching one of those pesky spreadsheets. Don't let financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA, monarchmoney.com, in your browser for half off your first year. That is 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with the code LOCKEDONNBA. We are here talking about the Boston Celtics and the upcoming season for them and where the fantasy value lies. So, again, I think that Derrick White's got some value. I wouldn't want him in round 3. He's like a round 4-ish sort of guy, again, with some risk. I think Payton Pritchard's got a very clear top 50 potential, but we can get him in the 70s, most likely, or 80s. And if you don't get him, it's okay. You don't have to. And that's, again, one of those things we really do need to make sure we're aware of. I think there are a couple of overvalued guys on this Celtics team, and one of them is who someone would call the best player currently available or healthy on this team, and that is Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown enters the season off knee surgery. The knee was bothering him all of last season. Yes, we remember that. Brown also has historically not been a particularly strong category league player. I'll bring his numbers up from last season on the screen because he's like middling to below average free throws. His rebounds and assists are not super strong. Steals and blocks, blocks terrible, steals, whatever. He scores well, but not volume threes. Now, again, he will do more, but he's already at 29 usage. Will he go to 30? Will his assists push over 5? Probably. But 46 and 76 and 32% from 3, I don't know why you would have any hope that they get better. He was 70th in categories last season, 43rd in points leagues. So Brown's currently ranked 23 on Yahoo. No way. There's no chance that I'm interested in that. I don't want to do it. Why? A, because he's never been that good. And B, I don't have any faith that he's playing through the end of the season or even playing consistently enough all year. Because he's coming off knee surgery. He is 29 years of age. This is a throwaway season for Boston. I don't think he's going to be out there enough. That is a wasted pick, I think, in round 2 of leagues. Now, on Fantrax, his ADP is 43. Cool. On ESPN, he's ranked 40th. No problem. On ESPN points leagues at 26, it's probably a little high. But yeah, the ADP there is at 29. Again, these are he's probably a 3rd round-ish sort of guy. But maybe not. Maybe he's a 4th round player. In fact, he probably is, given some of the concerns. I think there's a real debate about whether you take Jaylen Brown first or Derrick White first. I think it's a legitimate question to ask. I have White ranked higher than Brown. I think that obviously White is not entering the season with a knee injury, so that is a tick in his box. So why can't it be Derrick White as the guy who has a better overall season than Jaylen Brown? I think it's possible. The other one is Anfernee Simons, and this is just because at the moment he's sort of ranked as if he's just going to do the same thing that he did in Portland. He's 79 on Yahoo, 82 Fantrax ADP, 78 on ESPN categories, 82 on ESPN categories. I'm not interested in it. I don't know that he's going to play for Boston. He could go to a team that is less tanky, but is his role good there? Or he goes to another bad team and has an opportunity, then sits down at the end of the year at times as well. He's also a guy that historically has been a bad rebounder, bad field goals, bad steals, bad blocks. He's a points and threes guy with solid assists, and he'll get opportunities to do that in Boston. But taking Anfernee Simons in round 7, which is where he's currently situated for ESPN and on Fantrax and on Yahoo, I just don't want that. Round 10, no problem. If I'll take him in round 10, pick 120, I'll take a crack at that and I'll see where it goes. I'll see where the value lies. But I'm not projecting him well at all this season, Anfernee Simons. There's just too much uncertainty about it, about his role, about his minutes, about his team, that I'm just not going to get into that. I'm not interested in it. Let's talk about the stars section. And what do I mean by that? Well, I talked about this in the Hawks preview show we did yesterday. Who are the guys that can be top 50 players? I think there are 3 guys on this team. It's Brown, it's White, it's Pritchard. I think those 3 guys can be top 50 on at least a per-game basis. And there's different spots here because Jaylen Brown, you might need to take in round 2. Don't do that. Derrick White, it might be round 3. I'd probably want to do it more in round 4. Pritchard, you might get in the 70s or 80s or 90s, which I love. But again, you don't take him in the top 50 expecting top 50. I think these are the 3 players on this team with that star overall upside. And I think that Jaylen and Derrick are both probably round 4. I'll try and move away from the round designation, like 40s to 50s. 40 to 50 sort of pick range. And Pritchard, you want to go 70 to 85, in that sort of area, I think, with a lot more upside. They're the 3 guys that I'm really interested to see where they can go. But again, it is going to be at times frustrating, especially with Jaylen, I think, in terms of games played, because of the history and the fact that he's coming in with knee surgery just having been performed a few months ago. This is not a hypothetical injury for Jaylen Brown. This is not like, maybe he gets fake injured. He got injured. He had surgery. It's a knee injury. It's a meniscus injury. These are not good things. And we're going to talk about that in a second, but we know that exists. Today's episode is also brought to you by OpenPhone. If you're running a business, you know that every missed call is money left on the table. So the last time that you had an urgent need for something, you didn't wait around to leave messages for people to call you back. No, you needed something done right there and then. So with the first person didn't answer, you just moved on to the next one. So with OpenPhone, that can solve that problem for you. OpenPhone is the #1 business phone system built to streamline and scale your customer communications, all from an app on your phone or your computer. OpenPhone lets you manage those business calls and texts from an app, a single app, and it can be a shared inbox as well between you and your entire team, so anyone can take up the questions, the tasks, the project without missing a beat. And the AI agent handles the after-hours calls, answers common questions, and captures leads, so you never miss a customer. OpenPhone is offering you guys 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. That is OPENPHONE.com/LockedOnNBA. And if you have existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. OpenPhone. No missed calls, no missed customers. Okay, we are talking Boston Celtics here in their 25-26 fantasy season preview. Let's take a look at a few of the other parts of this squad that are important. Let's look at the new arrivals, because there are a lot of new players in this team. We've talked about Simons already, who I just don't want to take inside the top 100. Chris Boucher. Now, it is worth noting, much like with Payton Pritchard, Boucher is older than some of you may think. He's like 32, 33, and honestly, completely washed up last season. He didn't play for the Raptors. They sat him down at the end of the year for development of other guys, but he's also not good anymore. That period of time where he was a high-volume shot blocker with excellent three-point shooting has not been the case for Boucher for quite a few seasons now. And it's very easy to say, well, this is his opportunity now. He's been dicked around by the Raptors, and now he gets a chance to start and show what he can do. But again, he's old, and he's not that good. I'm just trying to find his stat profile. He's not that good anymore, right? He just isn't that. Now, if they decide that he's their starting center, I don't think he's a center, but if they decide he's their starting power forward, and he plays 27 minutes a night, then we absolutely draft him. And he is one of 3 Celtics that should be picked in the flyer zone of drafts. He's 32, he 20 usage, he played 17 minutes with 10 points, he shot 36 from 3, which is good. It's good. It's not terrible. It's not great. It's good. He blocked half a shot a game. Now, unless he's going to regain some of the stuff that he did, but he's also one of the most infuriating and dumb defenders in the league. But he doesn't block shots like he used to. The three-point stuff is not as good as it used to be. They will love his three-point shooting in Boston. Like that's all the fact that he gets shots up. But he's not the future of this team. Not even close to it. He's not going to get the ball pumped into his hands. Just to, hey, see what you can do, Chris. He might start, but I think it's going to be Hauser. So Boucher arrives, and again, I would rather take a flyer on Boucher than I would on Hauser, because overall the fantasy game is better for Boucher than it is for Hauser. But I just don't think that he's likely to start. Someone who else is a new arrival on this team and has an opportunity to start also, I don't know whether he will, but it is Luka Garza, who comes across from Minnesota. Now, Garza was a two-way guy at a period of time for Minnesota. He barely played, so his stats don't mean a huge amount when we take a look at the things that he did last season, because, again, he just didn't play. 6 minutes a night, 38 games, 6 fantasy points, 3.6 real-life points, 28% on threes. He will shoot threes. He's a bad defender. He's a strong rebounder. But, yeah, that 26 usage is also not a number that will stick as being real. But if we hear that Luka Garza is going to be the starter over Neemias Queta, and I don't think that'll be the case, then we prioritize him. But Boucher, Garza, and Queta are all guys I think we should take a look at as later round flyer picks for this Celtics team. Josh Minart also comes across, minimum signing from Minnesota. This is a guy with a very, very good fantasy game. A high steals forward who's been working on his shot and upping some of the usage. Not a bad passer. And also someone who can block shots. He plays the 4, sometimes the 3, but mainly the 4. And your competition there is Hauser. Your competition there is Boucher. He might not even be in the rotation lineup. That's possible. But again, he's not even someone I'd put in the late round flyer zone. But if he is in there, if he is in the rotation, if he is a 25-minute guy, then yeah, we pick him up. Absolutely, we pick him up. Hugo Gonzalez comes across, first round pick. I think that he is going to be quite bad. I don't know if he'll ever be good, but I think he's going to be quite bad this season. He is a bigger point forward, point guard-y sort of guy who's got that wider body. His numbers in Real Madrid don't look super strong. I think his shooting is going to be bad. I think his defensive stats are going to be quite poor. And if he was able to crack the top 300 this season, Hugo Gonzalez, I would be pretty surprised, honestly. But given their lack of guards, you have to at least be aware that he is there and he exists. 3 other names that they brought in: Amari Williams, second round pick. He's on a 2-way. RJ Luis and Max Schulger, shooter as well from the second round. And Luis was an undrafted guy that was part of the George Niang trade. These guys will play roles at some point, March and April, and that's when we'll probably have to become more familiar with them. I've got 3 guys on my list here as potential breakout players. I've talked, and by breakouts I mean having the best season of their career. Now there are others I could put on there. I could put Josh Minott on there as well. I could talk about Baylor Scheiman. And I think Baylor Scheiman's an interesting player because he's a guy that can sort of play similarly position-wise to Tatum. He's a scorer, shooter, and he can pass. But he's not the guy that I'm going to focus on mainly here. Because we've got Payton Pritchard there, I've talked about Luka Garza, but let's talk about the Pastel de Nata Neemias Queta, who I think will be the opening night starting center. I don't think that means 30 minutes at all, but 25 minutes? Last season he played 14 minutes a night, he averaged 5 and 4. 0.7 blocks for Neemias. They are, they're not ideal numbers, but again, how hard is it, or how it's so hard to translate the numbers across from this Celtics team from last season, given just the complete change of who else is around these guys. This is a guy that was competing with not only Porzingis and Horford, but Luke Cornett, and they're all gone. So he did start games. He started 6 games. He played 25 minutes a game in those starts. 10 and 6 with 1.3 blocks on 58 with 75% from the line. All right. He took some threes in Eurobasket. I don't think that's going to be part of his game. But I do think that, again, taking flyers on him, he's got an ADP of 141 on Yahoo. Interesting on Fantrax, 193. Don't know why Fantrax people aren't taking the flyer on him. They should be. But I don't think that any 12-team league should be leaving Cater undrafted. He just needs to be picked by somebody. Again, it's Cater, it's Boucher, there's Gaza. And then if you wanted to go a little bit deeper, we can talk Baylor Shireman, who, again, if we find out that Baylor Shireman is like the 6th man, 7th man behind Simons, playing 26 a night, then 14-team leagues will need to pay some attention to that because he will have an ability to contribute across quite a few categories. Now, just so you're aware, just to cover it off, injuries, because, again, I think people may have been trolling, but whatever. Asking, hey, why isn't Jason Tatum in your top 25? Because he's not going to play a single game. He's not going to play. He tore his Achilles in the postseason, in the playoffs. He's not going to play. He's done. And Jaylen Brown had knee surgery. I think Jaylen Brown will be fine for opening night, but again, he will sit out back-to-backs. He will have some limited minutes at times, and he will, I don't think, be upright and standing when it gets to April 12th. And these are, obviously, when you combine that with Porzingis and Horford and Drew Holiday all leaving, and Tatum not there, and Brown being hurt, it's going to be a disaster for this team later on in the season. And it's going to have an impact on where we sit or where we look at this team and how we value them from a fantasy point of view. Schedule-wise, they've got league minimum number of back-to-backs. That'll be useful when you're talking about Jaylen Brown and whether he sits games or not. Derrick White, maybe. But again, the differences here between 13 back-to-backs and 16 back-to-backs over a 25-week season is so marginal that it doesn't matter that much in this sort of situation. This is a weird team, obviously. You have to be very cautious about the high-end guys, White and Brown. I think Pritchard's got a real lot of value. I think Simons is getting overvalued. Like, I would take Brown and White probably in round 4, maybe even take Brown into 5. Pritchard to me, again, should do a better, 40 to 50 zone. Pritchard to me in the 70s to 80s with top 50 upside. Cater, Gaza, Boucher should all be drafted in standard formats in the last couple of rounds. I think Hauser can start, but I don't think he's a very good fantasy player necessarily. He's got an ADP, Sam Hauser, of 133, which is probably a little high, but he's going to be a very key streaming guy, and if you're in anything that gets slightly deeper, he needs to be drafted. And then your dart throw guys are Baylor Shireman. It's Josh Minot. I don't think it's going to be someone like Jordan Walsh or Hugo Gonzalez, but we're going to have to pay attention to a lot of weird stuff for this team throughout the season. So be careful of the Simons bomb. Be careful of Brown and White's injuries. Don't go too early on Pritchard. Take your Gaza, Cater, Boucher flyers. If I had to rank how I would flyer those guys, I'd do Cater, Boucher, Gaza. Minot, Shireman, deeper formats. Hauser, probably a 14-team league sort of a guy in the 180s, 170s sort of an area for his threes and scoring. But also, given the amount of usage that has gone and the way this team's changed, Sam Hauser, and I probably should have put him on that breakout list. It's possible he just gets some higher usage, 18 points, 3.5 threes, 6 rebounds. He's not going to do much assists or steals or blocks-wise, but he's going to take a lot of threes, man. He might hit 4 threes a game. He might. And maybe that's enough for you to consider him in 12s. I don't think I will be, but it might actually just be enough to get there. We will find out. That is the Boston Celtics. Sign up for Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl, Linktree/LOFB Bowl to sign up for whatever league type you are interested in. Go and do that. Subscribe to this channel on YouTube. Hype it up if you're on the YouTube app. Thumb it up. Leave your comments down below. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.